Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Welcome to Sibol, the Philippine General Hospital Postgraduate Internship Closing Ceremony 2022. I am Dr. Paulo Victor Medina and I will be this year's Master of Ceremonies. Let us now all welcome the officials of the Philippine General Hospital Directors Expanded Executive Committee. Introducing the Chancellor of the University of the Philippines, Manila, Dr. Carmencita David Padilla. The Director of the Philippine General Hospital, Dr. Gerardo D. Legaspi. The Dean of the College of Medicine, Dr. Charlotte Martinez Chong. Also together with us to celebrate this gracious event is the Deputy Director for Health Operations, Dr. Stella Marie Jose. The Coordinator for Training, Dr. Marie Dion Pareño Sakdalan. The Chair of the LU7 Academic Committee, Dr. Alan R. Junicio. The President of the Philippine General Hospital Association of Medical Alumni, Dr. Leopoldo M. Abad III. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the commencement speaker of Sibol, the University of the Philippines, Philippine General Hospital, Postgraduate Internship Closing Ceremonies 2022, Dr. Ronnie Baticulon. And now we welcome the presence of the LU7 Academic Committee for academic year 2021-2022. After completing 1 year of rigorous training at the Philippine General Hospital, let us welcome the postgraduate interns of the PGH from Adventist University of the Philippines College of Medicine. Bicol University College of Medicine. Brokenshire College School of Medicine, Cagayan State University College of Medicine and Surgery, Cebu Doctors University College of Medicine, Cebu Institute of Medicine, Central Philippine University College of Medicine, Centro Escolar University School of Medicine, Davao Medical School Foundation Incorporated College of Medicine, De La Salle Medical Health Sciences Institute College of Medicine, Emilio Aguinaldo College School of Medicine, Far Eastern University Nicanor Reyes Medical Foundation Institute of Medicine, Iloilo Doctors College of Medicine, La Consolacion University Philippines College of Medicine, Lyceum Northwestern University Dr. Francisco P. Duque Medical Foundation College of Medicine, Manila Central University College of Medicine, Mariano Marcos State University College of Medicine, Matias H. Aznar Memorial College of Medicine, Metropolitan Medical Center College of Arts, Science and Technology College of Medicine, Mindanao State University College of Medicine, Our Lady of Fatima University College of Medicine, Pamantasan ng Lungsod ng Maynila College of Medicine, Doña Remedios Trinidad Romualdez Medical Foundation Incorporated, St. Louis University School of Medicine, San Beda University College of Medicine, Silliman University Medical School, St. Paul University Philippines School of Medicine, University of Cebu School of Medicine, University of Northern Philippines College of Medicine, University of Perpetual Health Rizal Janelta Foundation School of Medicine, University of Santo Tomas Faculty of Medicine and Surgery, University of St. LaSalle College of Medicine, University of the East Ramon Magsaysay Memorial Medical Center Incorporated College of Medicine, University of the Visayas Julias College of Medicine, West Visayas State University College of Medicine, and Xavier University Ateneo de Cagayan Dr. Jose P. Rizal School of Medicine. May we request everyone to stand for the entrance of colors to be led by the UP Rayadillo. Now, please join us with our opening prayer to be led by the UST Medicine Glee Club, to be followed by the singing of the Philippine National Anthem by the San Beda Musica Medicina.
Kayang magiliw, sa silanganan, alam ng puso, sa dibdib mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, tuwid ka ng magiging, sa manlulupi, di ka pasisingin. Sa dagat at bundok, sa Sibol, sa langit mong bakaw, may ilagang tula, tawid sa paglayang minamahal. Ang kisap ng matawad mo'y tagumpay na naglilingling. Ang bituin at araw ng kailan pag may magdidilim. Lupa ng alaala'y ating pagsinta, buhay langit sa piling mo. Ang hindi kaya ng pag may mga api, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Bobo! Buloy! Guloy! To! Palabas! Good!
You may now take your seats. And let us welcome the Director of the Philippine General Hospital, Director Gerardo Legaspi, for his opening remarks.
To our dear Chancellor, Chancellor Candonsita Di Padilla, our, of course, guest speaker, my colleague and friend, Dr. Ronnie Baticulon, parents of the graduates, their families, friends, of course, my dear graduates, welcome to your 2022 graduation. The year 2021, when you started with us, is a year of sorts for us. It was a combination of tragedy and victory as well. We very well know that the worst surge from the COVID pandemic happened in 2021. And I think that's the time you came in and joined us in this fight, in this battle against the menace of COVID. You came in at a time when there was a utter confusion and desperation on the plight of our patients. Not only PGH, but I think the rest of the health system being overwhelmed. But nevertheless, you were there, you experienced firsthand how it is to be in the middle of a situation where you had to think double up, even thrice what you used to do. So in that aspect, I congratulate you already for surviving that. And I think the year 2021 also signaled our best year in research, because that's where we achieve our 40% publication rate of the 400 finished works in research that we had. It also ushered in our highest income for PGH, and I think your experience with patients having support for their medications, their instrumentations, and their supplies is testament to that. We do all of this to improve our patients' care and how we serve them. And I think that's one of the things that you learn in PGH. The ingenuity and the creativity that you apply, making sure the laboratories are in, the patients' meds are given, and of course the compassion that you have shown them reflected so well on how you were educated and you were brought up by your mentors and your parents. The grit that came in doing all of this, I think, is most important lesson that you'll bring from PGH. And that grit will bring you a long way as it has all of us who came ahead of you. But behind the grit, of course, is the faith that we have not only on ourselves, but on the people that we work with. And working with the others, not only your co-interns, but the residents, the fellows, the staff that make all things in PGH work is a vital information, vital lesson that you should have all learned through your stay with us. I hope you continue your curiosity for things that are new, because that is what makes us move forward and invent more things in the future. One mentor of mine once said that if we are able to instill hunger and doubt on our students, then we should have done our role as teachers. So I hope you continue to be hungry for knowledge and for new things and new ways of serving our patients, but still have that moment of doubt, not to question things unreasonably, but of course the doubt of maybe thinking that there must always be a better way. Ang kalawakan ng dagat ay nagmula sa isang bukal sa kabundukan. Sa inyong paglalayag sa kinaharap, tandaan ninyo ang inyong pagsibol ay nag-umpisa dito sa Philippine General Hospital. Salubungin nating lahat ang ating hinaharap sa medisina ng puno ng pag-asa at puno ng pagkakapwa. Dahil ang ating tadhana bilang mga doktor ay ang magsilbi ng tapat. I'd like to make mention also of the presence of our parents this afternoon. You soon have your doctors with you for momentarily before they go to their residency and their different destinies in life. But I'm sure today you're very proud of them, as we all are. And I hope you continue to support them because the journey has just started. Nag-umpisa pala po rin sila magsibol at dahan-dahan magiging malakas na agos ang kanilang inilatnan. So sa inyo pong lahat, maraming salamat at magandang hapon.
Thank you, Director Legaspi. And now to deliver her message to our beloved postgraduate interns, let us all welcome the Chancellor of the University of the Philippines, Manila, Dr. Carmencita David Padilla.
Congratulations to our postgraduate interns on the completion of your one-year internship program at the Philippine General Hospital. We are delighted and grateful that you have chosen the PGH as part of your medical education in your journey to serving the people. Experiencing firsthand how things are in the country's biggest government hospital with the biggest number of patients each day and in the midst of the pandemic can be life-changing. You had gone through what it meant to be the recipients of a training that has been reshaped by the pandemic in many ways. The way it has redesigned healthcare, the health professions, and medical education to heights never imagined. You are fortunate that your training happened after more than 2 years of PGH as a COVID referral center, when the medical training landscape has vastly improved. Because of its being a COVID referral center, PGH was transformed into an enriched and one of the best training environments there can be for an aspiring physician. During your internship, you had the incredible opportunity to work with professionals of varied disciplines and expertise. Your postgraduate medical training afforded you the chance to work with professional doctors, nurses, and other healthcare workers who are the best in their fields. And from them, you must have imbibed invaluable lessons and knowledge, worthy work ethic, and admirable values. Always apply what you have learned when dealing with your patients. Hopefully, this memorable period has also helped you discover yourself more and figure out your areas of interest and help formulate your immediate plans. Having gained ample first-hand experience in patient care, you can come back and specialize in whatever area you are inclined to and interested in. You have seen myriad interesting possibilities here in UP Manila. You can go into research, enroll in further studies with a view of becoming an academician, participate in public health endeavors, or perhaps join the government. I am sure this was also a memorable experience for you because of the camaraderie and friendships you formed with your peers while interning with them. You've realized even more that peer learning is extremely valuable and one of the best opportunities to share knowledge in the field of medicine with those from different places and institutions. While interning, you got to know more about the healthcare systems and other medical issues in their regions and settings. You also got a chance to share your skills and ideas with them and ended up learning from them as well, not only medically, but also embracing your maturity and devotion in managing patients. We hope that you will regard your postgraduate internship at the PGH as one of the best learning experiences you've had. But for now, sending you off as our graduates and healthcare providers gives us immense pride and joy. Witnessing you find your path further and serve in your chosen fields from here on makes us optimistic that the medical profession's future is in good hands. And lastly, the completion of your postgraduate internship here brings you to a time where you are now poised to serve with confidence, competence, and compassion. We pray that from now on, you will carry with you the best that PGH had to offer, especially its love for the poor and the needy. Muli, binabati po kayo sa pagtatapos ng inyong postgraduate internship. Maraming salamat.
Thank you, Chancellor Padilla. To introduce our distinguished guest and commencement speaker, may I call on the Vice President of the Postgraduate Interns Council, Dr. Guillermo Ivo Canuto. To the members of the PGH administration present here today, Dr. Stella Marie L. Jose, the Deputy Director for Health Operations, Dr. Marie Dion A. Pareño Sacdalan, the Coordinator for Training, Dr. Leopoldo M. Abad, the President of the Association of Medical Alumni, Dr. Alan R. Castillo, the Chair of the LU7 Academic Committee, to our respective guests, beloved parents and family members, and the graduating batch of 2022, a pleasant afternoon to all of you. I'll be more than happy and proud to introduce our guest speaker for the Postgraduate Intern Batch 2022 closing ceremony. Our guest speaker is a graduate of the 7-year Integrated Liberal Arts Medicine or ITARMED program of the University of the Philippines College of Medicine in 2008 as cum laude and was awarded as the most outstanding medical graduate. He had completed his residency in Philippine General Hospital under the Division of Neurosurgery in 2014 and had his fellowship training in pediatric neurosurgery at the Royal Children's Hospital in Melbourne, Australia in 2016. He also completed another fellowship training in hydrocephalus and spina bifida in Truro Children's Hospital in Mabale, Uganda. Our speaker also attained the Diploma in Global Health at the University of Tampere under the Finnish Medical Association in Tampere and Helsinki, Finland in 2006. He attended the Oxford Global Surgery Short Course
at the University of Oxford in the United Kingdom in August of 2019. Furthermore, in 2007, he was also a fellow for the 8th University of Santo Tomas National Writers Workshop and at the 58th University of the Philippines National Writers Workshop in 2019. He won a palanca for the title essay for his first book, Some Days You Can't Save Them All, published by the UP Press. The same book was also officially published in 2019, and it received an accolades of praises and reviews on various online platforms. He also co-authored the first edition of the Surgery Platinum book under the Top Practice Medical Publishing Corporation. In 2021, he was awarded as the University of the Philippines Medical Alumni Society in America, or UP-MASA, Outstanding Teacher in LU3 for the school year 2020 to 2021. This year, he was given an Outstanding Young Scientist Award under the National Academy of Science and Technology, Philippines. Currently, aside from practicing his specialty in the field of pediatric neurosurgery in Philippine General Hospital, he is also a visiting consultant at the Asian Hospital and Medical Center in Muntinlupa and at Perpetual Health Medical Center in Las Piñas. He is the present secretary and member of the boards of directors at the Academy of Filipino Neurosurgeons. He is also a member of Young Neurosurgeons Committee, World Federation of Neurological Societies. He is affiliated with numerous international societies in pediatric neurosurgery and as well in anatomy. He is also an associate professor in anatomy at the University of the Philippines College of Medicine and a lecturer for biochemistry at top-notch board preparation. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome our keynote speaker, a successful pediatric neurosurgeon, an award-winning writer, and a famous academician and lecturer, Dr. Ronnie E. Baticolon. Let's give him a round of applause, please.
Thank you for that, Ivo. Dr. Carmencita Padilla, Chancellor of UP Manila, Dr. Gerardo Legaspi, Director of Philippine General Hospital, Dean Charles Chong of the UP College of Medicine, Dr. Stella Jose, the Deputy Director for Health Operations, with Dr. Dion Sakdalan, the Coordinator for Training, Dr. Leopoldo Abad, the President of PGH Alumni Association, and Dr. Alan Dionisio, the Chair of the Internship Committee, LU7. Co-faculty, the medical interns who are completing their training today, their guests and loved ones. Good afternoon. Now, as Ivo mentioned, I teach biochemistry for your board review. So let me begin by telling you about pyruvate. So you know pyruvate. Pyruvate is the end product of aerobic glycolysis, right? So glucose will be converted to pyruvate in 10 steps. And by now, you should know that. So there's this famous diagram in biochemistry where you have pyruvate at the center, and it's at the crossroads. So you can see pyruvate can go up, it can become lactate, when you don't have oxygen or mitochondria. It can go down to become acetyl-CoA, so that it can enter the Krebs cycle and produce lots and lots of ATPs. It has 3 carbons, so pyruvate, you can add 1 more carbon. So that's a carboxylation reaction, and it becomes oxaloacetate to enter gluconeogenesis. And finally, you can remove 1 carbon. So from 3 carbons, it becomes 2 carbons, which is your ethanol. Of course, you can't do that unless you're yeast. So, ano point doon, Dr. Baticolon? Umattend kami dito para sa inspirational message, hindi para ma-lecturean. No? So, dalawa yung point doon. First one, it's a reminder that you only have 4 months to go before the PLE, and you should be studying. Ta-na-na-na. But the second one is, every single one of you here is just like pyruvate when you finish medical school. You had a lot of choices, but you chose the pathway that led to Philippine General Hospital. And for that, thank you. Thank you for choosing to spend the last 12 months at Philippine General Hospital. Thank you for choosing to serve our patients at the most difficult time, when there are a lot of uncertainties and there are a lot of unknowns. I'm not sure I would have made that choice if I were in your position. And thank you as well to your families, guardians, and loved ones who supported that choice. If you haven't heard it yet today, you deserve to be here. You're here because of your hard work, but also because of your dedication. Yesterday, I was talking to a utility worker or a manong from TCVS OR, Cesar. His name is Cesar, but people call him Kuya Bay. The elevator was not working for the nth time, so we had a bit of time to chat. And I found out that Kuya Bay started working at PGH in the year I was born. So I was as old as a number of years he had been working in PGH. And then I realized that because I'm intermed, I've now spent more than half of my life at the Philippine General Hospital. That's where I met my first patient. That's where I did neurosurgery training. So I've slept everywhere, from the ER to the NSSCU to the floors of the ER, everywhere. And that's where I bring my family when they get sick. That's where I do most of my operations. I live and breathe in PGH, essentially. So, Kuya Cesar told me that before, in the 80s, when the elevator was not working, you know what they would do? They would suspend patients in like a hammock using a military-grade linen. So that would be suspended by 2 poles, and then the poles would be brought up or down by 2 utility workers, one in front and one at the back, just to bring patients up and down when the elevators are not working. And he said, in his own words, parang bayanihan, pero pasyente ang dala. So you know, having spent the last 12 months at PGH, I'm sure you've served the roles of student in charge, watcher, porter, social worker, kamarites. Diba? And I reflected on my own experiences. I'm not sure how much have changed or how little has changed through the years. But what I know is this. There are very many reasons to leave PGH. There are very many reasons to stay away from PGH. I have classmates who never want to step inside PGH again. But we only really need one reason to stay. And that is the patients that we serve. Even just for today, I hope that you take the time to reflect on all those experiences, the good, the bad, everything else in between. And I hope you reflect on how those experiences have made you realize the kind of doctor that you want to be, or even the kind of doctor that you do not want to be, because we do meet that kind of people throughout our training. Truth be told, when I first received Ivo's invitation to speak this afternoon, I sat on the request for several days. So he messaged me everywhere, but I wasn't replying. The timing could not have been more terrible. One of my patients had incurred a serious complication, and this patient required another surgery that the patient didn't need. I had been carrying that weight for several days already. My mother had been having health issues, and I needed to plan how to discuss these health issues with my family so that they could share in the decision making, I being the only doctor. The end of the semester is coming up, and so I was compiling questions from different faculty members. I was computing and recomputing grades just so the students get the grades that they deserve. I was not replying to emails of following up, collaborators following up on when I would be able to send my part, when I would be able to do my part in the research that we're working on. I just didn't feel particularly inspiring at that time. I felt that I was falling short in many aspects of what I was doing. And then I realized I could talk about that. What do you do? What do you do when you feel that you have not been good enough? How do you deal with people who make you feel that you are not enough? How do we deal with inadequacy in medicine? Your theme is very appropriate. Growth, Sibol, meaning growth. Most of the time, we think of growth as something that's adding on, learning something new, developing new skills. But the truth is, my personal experience is that we grow more from our failures. We grow more from our mistakes. Unfortunately, in medicine, when you do become licensed physicians, our mistakes are not just numbers anymore. They're not just grades that will appear in your transcript. It could be a person spending the rest of his or her life with significant morbidity, disability, or it could be a person dying at worst. So let me talk about inadequacies. Several weeks ago, I attended the birthday rally of then Vice President Lenny Robredo in Pasay, together with our neurosurgical residents. I stayed till the end, till the part where Ben and Ben were singing, and so did one of the other neurosurgery consultants. So there were two of us consultants who stayed till the end. This consultant was my mentor, someone who had known me since I was a medical student and a neurosurgery resident, and is now a senior colleague. So I look up to him a lot. And I feel that many of the techniques that I do as a neurosurgeon, I learned from him. So towards the end of the rally, he told me that his driver had already left. And so I offered to drive him home. He didn't respond right away. But after a while, when most people have left, he said, "Sige Ronnie, hitch na lang ako sa'yo." Now, this may be trivial to most of you, but to me it was a big deal. He knew that I didn't learn to drive until I was a consultant. I learned to bike at 30 years old. So I also didn't own a car when I was a resident. I could not afford one. And you know, neurosurgery residents never really leave the hospital anyway, so what's the point of a car? So of course, as Murphy's Law would have it, I would miss a right turn that I needed to make. So I had to do a reverse in order to avoid the detour. There's a specific section of Buendia that was closed, so I had to go through different side streets. And then and my consultant, my senior colleague, had to endure 2 jumps on the passenger seat because I went through humps that I did not see. So everything that could go wrong went wrong. And you know, throughout the short ride, we were of course talking about neurosurgery, family, career, all those things. But deep inside, I could not help but feel that maybe somehow he was scrutinizing my driving skills. I felt that every maneuver of the steering wheel, every turn, every time I step on the brakes or the gas pedal, or every time I switch on the signal lights, whether it was appropriate or inappropriate, I felt like I was being graded. Of course, don't tell him this. I haven't told him this. I felt like I was being graded. And it was not unlike the first time that I asked him to supervise me for neurosurgery. I remember that time when I had to apply a clip on the internal carotid artery of a patient. It was my first time doing it. It's the largest blood vessel, of course, that supplies your brain. It's a very simple procedure. And I remember it was the exact same feeling. It's the same feeling I get, for example, even now, when we operate together, because sometimes we do cases together. I still feel that when I'm operating and he was watching my every move, how I handle the suction, whether I'm burning the correct vessel or not, whether I'm dissecting the tumor correctly or not. Here's the thing. I don't think this feeling ever goes away. It might have something to do with the way we are trained as doctors. So you know how to become a doctor, we've had to hurdle, prove ourselves every step of the way. You know how before you could get into medicine, you have to pass, you have to get good grades in high school, so you can get a good BS, get into a good BS course. And then when you're in BS, when you're doing your pre-med, you have to get a high NMAT grade. If you don't get the high NMAT grade, you don't get to a good medical school or the medical school that you like. Now that you're graduating, you have to take the physician licensure exam, which is essentially 1,200 items thought about by 6 people who will decide whether you deserve that license or not. When you finally get that license, you still have to prove your worth to be able to train in your chosen specialty. Or even if you want to serve as a municipal health officer, you have to justify your worth to the mayor or whoever's in charge of putting that position. So every step of the ladder, we have to prove ourselves. And perhaps rightly so. As I've said, because on our hands, on our decisions, there lies a breathing, living, loving human being. Right? Perhaps that's right. Perhaps that's right. But you know what's the downside? The downside is that whenever we fall short of our expectations or other people's expectations, when we feel that we have not been good enough, it can come to a point when we would question ourselves. Is this really the path for me? Do I really deserve to become a doctor? Or should I just be doing something else? And this is something that we all feel at all stages of our career. Let me tell you that. It never stops. You know, I remember during my first year of private practice, I had a very difficult patient. One of my patients died. And I remember calling my batchmate in neurosurgery training. His name is James. So we spent 5 years together. So we were seeing each other every day for 5 years. I remember calling him and I said, James, ayoko na yata maging neurosurgeon. Of course, it was just really the weight of things. And then he told me, Ron, ano ka ba? Consultant na tayo, hindi ka na pwede mag-quit. So you see, I realized that these moments can come. And the reason why I'm bringing this up, because your class, specifically, you've had to go through medical school like you probably never imagined when you were applying 5 years ago. This was not the experience you had in mind. This was not the experience what other people had in mind for you. And I'm sure, and I will not reiterate their words, I'm sure they had doubted you. People had doubted you. Again, let me tell you this. You deserve to be here. If you haven't heard that today, you deserve to be here. So how do you deal with those feelings of inadequacy? What do I do? For example, what do I do when I feel that I had not been good enough? You know, it can be as simple. I remember when I was a medical student, I would feel bad every time I failed to put in a green cannula. Because I could see my classmates easily do it. Like, bakit sila ang galing-galing na mag-insert ng line? And it's not just because I want to prove myself, but naawa ako sa pasyente. Because you know, every time you inject, you put in a cannula, it's pain for the patient. And I remember, before we used to pay for ABGs. So every time you do an ABG, the patient has to shell out 85 pesos if the patient has a white card. If the patient only has a blue card, they have to shell out 170 pesos. So before, when I was an intern, when I would do an ABG, and then if the sample comes back as Venus, so which means I failed, what I would do, I would shell out 85 pesos from my own pocket because I felt bad. So it could be as simple as those things. It could be as simple as those things when you feel that you were trained to do that. But why are you not able to do that? Right? Or for example, I'm not sure. It may be that some of you may not be comfortable delivering a baby in the province if you're the only physician in there. It may be that some of you might end up having to face a patient with pneumothorax who needed closed tube thoracostomy, emergency closed tube thoracostomy, and have not had the experience to do that. Or you might end up going to a residency training program and have to endure the verbal abuse from your seniors who will keep on saying, bakit hindi mo yan alam? Di ba dapat alam mo na yan? So, I don't like giving advice, but I'd like to share to you what I do. 3 things. First, it is important that you recognize our shortcomings. As I said, it's very important we grow much more from our failures than from our successes. And that's personally true for me. Every time I do a case, every time I treat a patient, at the end of the surgery, I always ask myself, what could I have done better? Even more so when the patient suffers a morbidity or a mortality. That introspection is important. If you ever come across that scenario, please, it is important for you to say, okay, this is what happened, and this happened because I did not know this. I wasn't sure how to do it, but I did it anyway, or I just never had the opportunity to learn it. It is important for you to recognize those gaps, because in recognizing those gaps, that's when you can do something to actually that's when you can actually plan how to address that gap. So you see, so if you recognize what you cannot do, what you do not know, that's when you can do concrete things to address them, so that you can do them better next time. So the least desirable thing to do is for you to ignore your mistakes, for you to deny them, because that is the one that hurts patients. That is the action that kills patients. When you fail to recognize your mistakes and you end up doing it again and again and again without knowing that you're hurting people. And that's what we don't want. So how do I do it? So if I incur a complication, I realized over the years as a neurosurgeon, when I was having complications early on in training, it was like, at the start, bakit ganun? Bakit kaya nangyari yun? Hindi dapat nangyari, hindi yan dapat nagkahematoma. So that was my instant reaction. It was always denial. And then over time, I realized, I think it's because we are so exposed usually to our consultants, our stellar residents, who never seem to make mistakes. It's like they are always doing the right things, right? When you see them doing rounds, when you see them with their patients, and see them present their surgery, it's like they're always doing the right things. But having spent time with my mentor, who I was talking about earlier, the one I drove home, I have also seen his shortcomings. I have also seen when he's failed. And I realized that over time, it's not that we don't make mistakes, it's that we now know why we make mistakes. And you will feel that. You will feel that as you learn more, as you get to interact more with your patients. So now, for example, I can feel that, okay, alam ko itong pasyente na to, mahihirapan ako nito post-op. So that's what has changed. But again, the first step is, you need to be able to recognize your shortcomings. Otherwise, you know what? If you don't recognize your shortcomings, what happens? So this is what you can do, this is what you cannot do. So there's that gap. What do? You fill that gap instead with denial, anger, right? Reckless behavior. And as I've said, that's the one that will kill or hurt your patients. You will never really forget your first death, your first complication as a physician. It is something that will scar most of us for the rest of our careers. These are names that you will keep reciting in your head. Which brings me to my second point. We also need to celebrate the good days. If you have a good day, you need to take note and celebrate it. I remember there were times when I would do, for example, let's say I would do 10 surgeries. 9 patients would have a good outcome and 1 of them would turn bad. And yet it's the one that turned bad that you would carry with you for the rest of the day and throughout several days. And you know why that's not a good thing? Because it will ultimately affect how you care for the other patients. It will ultimately affect how you care for the other patients. And what I've learned to do is that now I personally, for example, if a patient sends a thank you message or a thank you note, I now keep them in an album. If somebody, I don't usually reply to messages on social media, but if they tag me, I screenshot it so there's a file. So I keep a file of the good days. You need to give yourself a pat on the back for the good days, because more and more is being asked of us as doctors. You will feel that more and more is being asked of you. You're being asked to give up a lot of things to be able to serve. You're the one serving, but you're being asked to give up a lot of things. So it's very important that you have something to keep you going. And this is something that has worked for me. During the days when I have a failure or when I make mistakes, I just look back. Because you know what? For that patient who gave you buko pie or black forest cake or chicharon, or the one who just said thank you because you were able to insert the IV line, or because you listened to his or her story, you were meant to be there for that specific patient. Which means all your past failures, all your mistakes, all the hardships led you to that point so that you could be for that one patient. And that one patient alone may be reason enough for you to go on. And it's important for you to be reminded of the good days. And finally, when all else fails, what I always tell myself, for example, if things are really not going the way I want them to, I just ask myself one simple question. Am I doing my best for this patient given the circumstances? Is this the best that I can do? Because there are a lot of things we can't control. There are many things we can't control, but there are many things that we can control. As I've said, the way we deal with situations, the way we address problems, the way we treat our patients. And I have to remind you, when I say shortcomings, I don't just mean shortcomings with regard to skill or with regard to knowledge. We sometimes have shortcomings or inadequacies in empathy and kindness as well. I do have those days when I feel that I had not been kind enough to my patients. When I was rushing things and I was not kind enough. I was rushing things. I just needed to get things done. And it's important for you to recognize this. Being kind is an active process. It is not something that happens naturally. You have to make conscious effort, to be honest. Sometimes we feel that, I'm not really that kind of person. I'm not that kind of person. I'm not the doctor who will do that. But we have to. Right? We have to, because that's how we care for our patients. So we are really bad. We are really bad at recognizing or accepting our mistakes. And it's very important as you go on with your training, or as you go on, if some of you might even choose to serve already after you finish, after you get your license. But I'd like you to remember I'd like to give you 3 sentences that will probably help you. Number 1, you can say these things. Number 1, I don't know the answer to that question, but I will try to find out. Number 2, I have not done this procedure before, but if you show me how so I could do it next time, I'd really appreciate it. And number 3, I made a mistake. I did not know better. I will do better next time, and I will not do that again. So remember those things. Sometimes training can be very cruel. The people around us, as I've said, they can make you feel inadequate or not good enough. What's very important is your desire to serve. Remember, my training officer in residency would always tell this to us. The only person you have to please, the most important person, is the patient. As long as you're able to serve, that should be good enough. Okay? So remember, be comfortable with your failures. Be comfortable with your inadequacies. Because that's how you will grow. Most of the time when people look at my CV or my profile, they say, oh, you're a very successful person, or you're a successful doctor. But let me tell you this. You know that before I won a palanca for essay, I tried 5 times. I won on the 5th try. I didn't learn to ride the bike until I was 30 years old. So I had to have 2 teachers. On my final year of residency, I tried to take the diplomate exam for credit, and I failed. So I had to take it after finishing fellowship. But see, because and one of my biggest failures in childhood was failing the PSI exam. I was so disappointed because I really wanted to go to PSI, but I failed the second exam. And you know, the thing is, all these failures, because I'm so comfortable with failure, I realized that really that's how you grow. And that is something that you have to learn. That is something that you have to learn as a doctor, as someone who cares for other people's lives. I always tell my students, I don't expect you to become the best doctor in the land. But I expect you to become the best version of doctor you can be. Always remember that. Every day, strive to be better. Because you know what? When you try to do that every day, all those little improvements will mean that some person, even if it's just one patient, at some point in the future, might be able to spend extra years, maybe a few months, maybe even just a day with his or her loved ones, because you happen to be there with all your past mistakes and failures and you knew just what to do. Huwag natin kakalimutan, all the letters that come after your name are useless unless you use them to do good, to be kind, and to serve others. Higit sa pagiging magaling, ang pagiging mabuti. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you, Dr. Ronnie Baticulon. Once again, everyone, let's give him a warm round of applause. At this point, may I call on the PGH PGI President, Dr. Cristina Palomillo, Dr. Stella Marie Jose, Dr. Dion Sakdalan, and Dr. Alan Jonicio to present the token of appreciation to Dr. Ronnie Baticulon for being the commencement speaker of Sibol, the University of the Philippines, Philippine General Hospital, Postgraduate Internship Closing Ceremonies 2022. And I will read the plaque citation. This plaque of appreciation is awarded to Dr. Ronnie E. Baticulon for imparting his valuable insights and inspiration to the interns, parents, and community members during the UP-PGH Postgraduate Internship Closing Ceremony 2022, given this 8th of July 2022 at Girl Scouts of the Philippines Auditorium, Padre Faura Street, Ermita, Manila, signed by Dr. Cristina Isabel O. Palomillo, President, PGI Council, Dr. Trisha Jane G. Velasquez, and Dr. Junlin M. Tado, heads of PGI Graduation Committee. Once again, thank you, Dr. Baticulon, for sharing your message and challenge to our newest Filipino doctors. May we request the President of the Postgraduate Interns, Dr. Cristina Isabel O. Palomillo, to remain on stage to petition for the declaration of completion of internship to the Chancellor of the University of the Philippines, Manila, Dr. Carmencita David Padilla.
On behalf of the UP-PGH interns of academic year 2021 and 2022, I respectfully petition the Chancellor of the University of the Philippines, Manila, Dr. Carmencita David Padilla, to declare our completion of the one-year internship program of the UP Philippine General Hospital.
At this moment, may I request the medical interns to please rise. And now to present the medical interns to Chancellor Padilla, we would like to call on the Deputy Director for Health Operations of the Philippine General Hospital, Dr. Stella Marie Jose.
Honorable Chancellor Padilla, I take great pride and pleasure in presenting to you the 147 postgraduate interns who have satisfactorily completed the one-year internship program in the University of the Philippines Philippine General Hospital for the academic year 2021 to 2022.
In accordance with the laws of the Republic of the Philippines and by virtue of the authority vested upon me by the University Board of Regents as the Chancellor of the University of the Philippines, Manila, I formally declare the completion of your internship in the Philippine General Hospital with all the rights and privileges, honors, and responsibilities thereto appertaining.
Ladies and gentlemen, the UP-Philippine General Hospital postgraduate interns of academic year 2021 to 2022. Once again, let us all give them a round of applause. Congratulations, everybody. You may now take your seats. We now move on to the awarding of certificates of internship to the PGH postgraduate interns. And the postgraduate interns from various medical schools all over the country will now be recognized for completing a year of their medical internship at the Philippine General Hospital. The postgraduate interns of the University of the Philippines, Manila, Philippine General Hospital, academic year 2021 to 2022. From the Adventist University of the Philippines, College of Medicine, De La Cruz Erica R. Intern Fritzy Ashel C. Saavedra. Dr. Charmaine Angelica Bara. Oh, sorry, for the interns from the Bicol University College of Medicine. Sorry, once again, Dr. Charmaine Angelica Bara. Once again from Bicol University College of Medicine, Dr. Gabriel C. Carpio. From Brokenshire College School of Medicine, Dr. Daphne Shane V. Gentapan. From Cagayan State University College of Medicine and Surgery, Dr. Aizel Mar L. Cayetano. And Dr. Cheryl Jane G. Ocas. From Cebu Doctors University College of Medicine, Dr. Mary Grace A. L. Esquani. Dr. Jose Alessandro D. Machacon. From Cebu Institute of Medicine, Dr. Slia Aina Q. Buga. Dr. Maureen Joy T. Cajes. Dr. Princess Naira M. Gisela. From Central Philippine University College of Medicine, Dr. Denise Jan S. Abu. Dr. Junlin M. Tado. From Centro Escolar University School of Medicine, Dr. Aya Grace D. Matsunaga. From Davao Medical School Foundation Incorporated College of Medicine, Dr. Mark Miguel P. Latras. From De La Salle Medical Health Sciences Institute College of Medicine, Dr. Romaya Eliza N. Abduhar. Dr. Stella Vicenta S. Acuin. Dr. Alan Fred G. Camungol. Dr. Moses Elijah D. Coriado. Dr. David Angelo R. Diamante. Dr. Mark Albert D. Fabunan. Dr. Criza May S. Garcia. Dr. Michael T. Huntilla. Dr. Cheska May M. Menodiado. Dr. Mark J. O. Pagaduan. Dr. Yelena Donali C. Yauna. From Emilio Aguinaldo College School of Medicine, Dr. Renz Jethro M. Ortega. Now we have the graduating postgraduate interns from Far Eastern University Nicanor Reyes Medical Foundation Institute of Medicine. Dr. Joan Fatima D. Abao. Dr. Trisha May D. Bolotaulo. Dr. Christian Joseph B. Cruzado. Dr. Noriel D. Dagsaan. Dr. Joshua Rafael G. De Guzman. Dr. Kizel D. De Guzman. Dr. Micah Luis G. Espiritu. Dr. Lara Alexandra D. Estranjero. and Dr. Chris Shara G. Hener. From Iloilo Doctors College of Medicine, Dr. Datu Kashmir S. Abdul Rahman. From La Consolacion University, Philippines College of Medicine, Dr. Shannon Cristel A. Andrade. And Dr. Emmanuel H. Perez. From Lyceum Northwestern University, Dr. Francisco Q. Duque Medical Foundation College of Medicine, Dr. Levely G. Bautista. From Manila Central University College of Medicine, Dr. Rica Victoria R. De Los Santos. Dr. Phil Joed Vance M. Vitu. From Mariano Marcos State University College of Medicine, Dr. Bien Paulo A. La Forteza. From Matias H. Aznar Memorial College of Medicine, Dr. Althea Luis D. Escobillo. From Metropolitan Medical Center, College of Arts, Science and Technology, College of Medicine, Dr. Cristina Isabel O. Palomilio. From Mindanao State University College of Medicine, Dr. Darhem FZM R. Seniza. Dr. Ludith A. Corvera. Dr. Stacy Marian A. Principe. Dr. June Marie E. Saga. From Our Lady of Fatima University College of Medicine, Dr. Ana Patricia Bartolome. Dr. Jerus Y. Doroteo. Dr. Wendy H. Escuro. Dr. Ovric P. Estioco. Dr. Julia P. Rebleza. Dr. Jomar P. Ronquillo. Dr. Rimon Leandro Q. Satentes. Dr. Rachel B. Tablante. From Pamantasan ng Lungsod ng Maynila, College of Medicine, Dr. Paulo Gabriel C. Alcantara. Dr. Carla Joyce S. Badong. Dr. Joseph Anthony T. Chang. Dr. Abigail Denise A. Escarza. Dr. Jenilyn A. Karunungan. Dr. Vince Timothy Wesley C. Landicho. Dr. Philip Patrick P. Lee. Dr. Joseph P. Mata. Dr. Joanna Karina C. S. Ramos. Dr. Kirby D.G. San Diego. From Doña Remedios Trinidad Romualdez Medical Foundation Incorporated, Dr. Rick Arthur B. Estuaria. We'd also like to acknowledge the presence of Governor Edwin Onchuan of the province of Northern Samar, who's with Dr. Estuaria for his PGH graduation. From St. Louis University School of Medicine, Dr. Marnelli M. Abigid. Brandon Brian C. Balawen. And Dr. Justine A. Kai. From San Beda University College of Medicine, Dr. Kathleen May P. Alfonso. Dr. Jose Lorenzo Miguel P. Arteta. Dr. Denise Lovely M. Hidalgo. Dr. Ram Jairus L. Lapira. Dr. Maria Isabel T. Morte. Dr. Angelo A. Rivera. Dr. Arian Joyce L. Rubinion. Dr. Eric Maynard T. Sanchez. Dr. Gio Adrian I. Santos. Dr. Trisha Jane G. Velasquez. Dr. Michael Christian A. Virata. Dr. Karen Grace G. Yao. From Silliman University Medical School, Dr. Daniel G. Sarte. From St. Paul University Philippines School of Medicine, Dr. Phoebe Joy I. Sugitan. From University of Cebu School of Medicine, Dr. Mark Johnwell M. Duavis. Dr. Thirdy Luis A. Kong. Dr. Charity Joy E. Limpiado. From University of Northern Philippines College of Medicine, Dr. Guilherme Ivo E. Canuto. Dr. J. Lucky Edwards D. De Luna. From University of Perpetual Health Rizal, Jonelta Foundation School of Medicine, Dr. Gian Renzi L. Atienza. Dr. Mark Lawrence V. De Leon. Dr. Michael E. Leonardo. From University of Santo Tomas, Faculty of Medicine and Surgery, Dr. Justin Angelo J. Bercasio. Dr. Daniel Elisha F. Ching. Dr. Yana Chun. Dr. Almira A. Dairit. Dr. Joshua M. Galvez. Dr. Arnold S. Guevara. Dr. Sheena S. Gumatay. Dr. Eldrick Russell F. Cow. Dr. Adrian D. Maglinaw. And Dr. Augustine D. Maglinaw. Dr. Rose Sheena S. Marasigan. Dr. Carmina H. Lislang. Dr. Marie Francine Q. Pua. Dr. Kim Z. Sia. Dr. Jackie Beth Joy T. Trocino. University of St. LaSalle College of Medicine, Dr. Cristina O. Aniban. From University of the East, Ramon Magsaysay Memorial Medical Center, Incorporated, College of Medicine, Dr. Ferry Carlene Lucille L. Almira. Dr. Krista R. Baniqued. Dr. John Kevin R. Basse. Dr. David Marco A. Dildan. Dr. Maria Lianza Luis DLC Buela. Dr. Isabel Dominique S. Cabazor. Dr. Angela Bianca F. Datingali. Dr. Daniel Wilbur, MD. Dr. Justine William P. Duran. Dr. Darwin A. Espiritu. Dr. Hyacinth S. Pauli. Dr. Hannah Abigail A. Gruyal. Dr. Isabel V. Beatriz Hiao. Dr. Janelle Antonelli N. Kong. Dr. Erica Precious Joy T. Latawan. Dr. Katrina Ann P. Malvas. Dr. Mark Raymond B. Manikad. Dr. Vilca Alexandria W. Matorino. Dr. Shelly Marie T. Mendoza. Dr. Dion Gail B. Naval. Dr. Natalie Roxanne B. Nise. Dr. Clarice Ann D. Nuki. Dr. Oriel Clarice Ocampo. Dr. Eric Regan T. Ong. Dr. Amy A. Ong. Dr. John Woodrow M. Ramos. Dr. Evangeline Jor B. Roque. Dr. John Ezekiel P. Tagorda. And Dr. Patrick Ma S. Unso. From the University of the Visayas Gullias College of Medicine, Dr. Froline Sean L. Dalmasio. From West Visayas State University College of Medicine, Dr. Crystal Joy S. Suizo. Dr. Alexander R. Vidal II. From Xavier University, Ateneo de Cagayan, Dr. Jose P. Rizal School of Medicine, Dr. Michelle Lorraine G. Anayron. Dr. Mary Portia Pinky B. P. Dukusin. Dr. Jinky C. Manquera. And last but not the least, Dr. Sandra O. Ortiz. Once again, congratulations to all finishing clinical interns and give yourselves a big hand. Woo! Congratulations, everybody. And now, in recognition of the circumstances that made the one-year internship possible, we would like to again welcome Dr. Cristina Isabel Palomilio to deliver a message on behalf of PGI class of 2022.
UP Manila Chancellor Dr. Carmencita Padilla, PGH Director Dr. Gerardo Legaspi, UP College of Medicine Dean Dr. Charlotte Chong, PGH Deputy Director for Health Operations Dr. Stella Marie L. Jose, PGH Coordinator for Training Dr. Marie Dion A. Pareño Sakdalan, outgoing Chair of the LE7 Academic Committee, Dr. Alan R. Dionisio, with the representative members of the Academic Committee, chiefs, and faculty members of all departments, divisions of Philippine General Hospital, our keynote commencement speaker, Dr. Ronnie Baticulon, administrative staff, parents, grandparents, guardians, significant others of the graduates, my fellow PGI batch, Sibol, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I would also add the presence of the Governor of the Northern Samar, Honorable Edwin Ong Chuan, and the presence of the President of the Alumni Association of the PGH, Dr. Leopoldo Abad. Speaking on behalf of the PGI PGH batch Sibol makes me wonder, where did all this start? We all came from different walks of life, different schools, place of origins from the farthest north of Luzon to the south of the seas of Mindanao, and to make it much unique, COVID pandemic situation. Perhaps making it more complicated is we set forth as half-baked graduates of medical schools who merely cram our clinical clerkship, resorting to purely virtual and limited face-to-face clinical exposure. But one thing that made us all the same, we chose PGH, where we will hone our missed opportunities, being able to experience firsthand what it is to work within the rigors and walls of one of the biggest and best training institutions of the country. But let me briefly walk you through some sort of memory lane, mentioning some fond experiences which I think we all can relate, with which I pick the top 3. I relate those 3 most memorable experiences as I quote this from an excerpt made by Jordan J. Cohen, MD, from the University of California School of Medicine, Irvine, 2012. Be prepared to be accountable for everything you do. Be prepared to welcome your patients' participation in decisions about their care. Be prepared to devote your professional energies not only to your patients' needs, but also to the unmet health needs of our society as a whole. Be prepared to husband society's resources. First, accountable for everything you do and welcome your patients' participation in decisions about their care. As PGH interns, we will never forget being given trust to carry out simple errands for each patient since day one. This might sound simple, yet errands entails a lot of decisions, ranging from timely extractions, reporting a near death or code to our attending residents, relaying vital signs every breath of neonate comes into life, and every patient who was not able to reach up until the last breath, calling the demise in the eyes of their loved ones. We are indeed welcomed with open arms, despite our limited capabilities, as we enter the halls of PGH wards from different departments. Treated as part of the team, decisions about their care depend on us. Trust given to us as part of their care. Indeed, as they say, Handa na ba ako sa mature roles? PGH has trained us indeed to mature our clinical acumen and competence as day goes by, of being an intern even to our last day of internship. Second point of that quote mentioned, devote your professional energies not only to your patients' needs, but also to the unmet health needs of our society as a whole. It is apparent through our stay here in PGH that we were exposed to the social aspects of each unmet needs of our patient to cover for their medical needs. We see a lot of patients queuing within the MNS and Malasakit office first in the morning until the cut-off in the afternoon, just to cover for the expenses of their medical needs. As an intern, those numerous justification letters we always print left and right indeed made us examine it with the careful consideration of its deep social roots. Poverty, lack of social safety nets, disparities in healthcare access, hospital system inefficiencies, poor governance, to name a few. Let me cite an excerpt from the book which I read from an article about infections and equalities by Paul Edward Farmer. Virchow understood, as his successors have not, that medicine, if it is to improve the health of the public, must attend at one and at the same time to its biologic and to its social underpinnings. It is paradoxic that at the very moment when the scientific progress of medicine has reached unprecedented heights, our neglect of the social roots Virchow so clearly identified cripples our effectiveness. I know we were taught from our community immersion in Cavite, but did we even ask ourselves time again, what good does it do to treat our patients only to send them back to the very same environment that made them sick in the first place? For instance, a malnourished child came to consult at the BHS station where I am stationed, only to find out the patient has been recurrently having intestinal ascariasis. Sadly, as much albendazole we gave, but when I asked regarding their toilet, they only have an open pit where it is near their water reservoir for drinking. Imagine, they cannot even afford a decent toilet and clean water. For sure, it would be a never-ending cycle for the child as much as we treat, and the worst siblings will be affected as well. I'm sure this isn't the first time we've heard this question. It's a question that resonated within me since I entered PGH. But it's a question we too often forget, and a question we should never stop asking. I have seen some faces of our dear residents lose hope and become jaded during clerkship, internship, and even residency. The structural violence in our society conditions us to choose learned helplessness. But I urge everyone, never forget. This I mentioned makes me capture the last part mentioned. Prepare to husband society's limited resources. Though as an intern, sometimes, we really had this urge to fill the gaps. I remember seeing the bantay of one patient in the ward who was newly admitted. Seeing how tired and hungry, I decided to offer him the sandwich and water in my bag. The bantay gladly accepted because he was in awe of the numerous medications needed to fund, knowing his father was fighting for cancer. Indeed, this momentous day recapitulates these unique experiences. I, for one, did experience, and even my fellow batchmates. This is what set us apart from being an intern of PGH. As we rise and soar, may we never forget who we are and whose we are. Think beyond and biomedical aspect of our patients. Ruminate how social factors made them sick, and in the process, may we remember for whom we took our oath. May we never be the illnesses we seek to cure. Kaya nga sabi nila, ito ang tatak PGH, mulat sa katotohanan. Expressing also our ever gratitude for the unwavering support of our administrators of UP Manila and PGH, because they were the ones who selected us to venture this journey to be interns of PGH. With our family, parents, grandparents, guardians, and significant others of the graduates, let us all give them thanks, for they were relentlessly supporting us since day one. We set forth medical school, now going to our last leap, which is our internship. Today's theme is Sibol, a Tagalog word which means to bloom or grow. A phrase recapitulates what we were before entering PGH. And as we end our internship, indeed we bloom to a physician of tomorrow, ready to be part of change. We all had to endure the pain of dragging our own feet, of struggling against gravity, of falling and trying to get up all over again. And through all of that, we had people push us, drag us forward, lift us up, pull us back again, over and over, until we finally learned to bloom like those flowers who were we first planted the seeds. And now we look forward to what's next and to what's in store for us. How can we bloom amidst the darkness? Yes, we still can. I know we will, and PGH trained us very well. So as I end my speech, I want to express this short message addressed to my batch. Batch Sibol, maging kasing bunga ang ating mga pagsusumikap para sa inang bayan, hikahos at nangangailangan ng kalinga ngayong pandemya. Tayo ang bagong Sibol na manggagamot, namulat at magsisilbing liwanag sa kasalukuyang estado ng ating sistemang pangkalusugan, ng hihikahos. Nawa'y nag-iwan ang PGH na natatanging aral sa ating mga puso at isipan. Ang matutong magmahal ng radikal at magsilbi ng bukas palad para sa inang bayan, paglingkuran ang sambayan at higit na nangangailangan. Again, extending my congratulations to my fellow interns, Batch Sibol. A pleasant afternoon, everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Cristina Palomillo, for that heartwarming message. And of course, to recognize her effort in leading the clinical interns for the past year of internship, may I call on the coordinator for training, Dr. Marie Dion Pareño Sacdalan, and to join her, of course, in awarding the certificate, may we ask Dr. Stella Marie Jose and Dr. Alan Jonicio here on stage to award Dr. Palomillo's certificate.
Thank you, Dr. Medina. Good afternoon, everyone, and congratulations to the new set of doctors who will be taking the board soon. So on behalf, good afternoon, sir, our keynote speaker, Dr. Baticolon, and all our faculty here, and Governor Ongchuan. Good afternoon. So on behalf of the administration, we would like to give this to Christina. As it is, its internship is really not a walk in the park, particularly in PGH, and what more to undergo it during the pandemic. So the work itself is a very busy hospital. It's really hard for the last 12 months. It can be sometimes exhausting, sometimes discouraging. But taking this challenge to lead this group of would-be doctors who may be different at most times, but very passionate in terms of serving our people. And of course, this batch will be the future leaders in healthcare for our country. And on behalf of the admin, we'd like to tell you, Tina, that you did a good job and congratulations. So we'd like to give this certificate that reads, sorry, can't see it. University of the Philippines, Philippine General Hospital presents the Leadership Award to Cristina Isabel O. Palomillo, MD, for your commitment and selfless dedication as President of the Postgraduate Interns for Batch 2021-2022. Your consistent efforts to coordinate processes and requirements and genuine intentions to maintain professional and cordial relations between and among your co-trainees and the administration is greatly appreciated. Given this 8th day of July 2022 at the University of the Philippines, Philippine General Hospital in the auditorium of the Girl Scouts of the Philippines, signed Coordinator for Training, the LU7 Committee Consultant Coordinator, Dr. Alan Jonicio, the Deputy Director for Health Operations, Dr. Stella Marie L. Jose, and the Director of the Philippine General Hospital, Dr. Gerardo Legaspi. Congratulations, Tina, and thank you very much.
Once again, thank you so much, Dr. Cristina Isabel Palomillo, for rendering your time and service to your fellow interns. Congratulations. and to reminisce about a year full of learnings, friendship, and camaraderie during their clinical internship, let us all watch this AVP of Batch Sibol prepared by Dr. Jacquibeth Joy Trocino.
I had a dream so big and loud, I jumped so high, I touched the clouds. Whoa, oh, 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 oh. I stretched my hands out to the sky, we danced with monsters through the night. Whoa, oh, 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 oh. I'm never gonna look back, whoa, I'm never gonna give it up. No, please don't wake me now. This is gonna be the best day of my life. My life. This is gonna be the best day of my life. My I howled at the moon with friends, and then the sun came crashing in. Whoa, oh, 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 oh. But all the possibilities, no limits, just epiphanies. Whoa, oh, 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 oh. I'm never gonna look back. Whoa, I'm never gonna give it up. No, just don't wake me now. This is gonna be the best day of my life. My life. This is gonna be the best day of my life. My I hear it calling outside my window. I feel it in my soul. The stars were burning so bright, the sun was out till midnight. I say we lose control. This is gonna be the best day of my life. My life. This is gonna be the best day of my life. My life. This is gotta be the best day of my life. Everything is looking up, everybody out there. This is gonna be the best day of my life. My life.
And now we move to the induction for the PGH Association of Medical Alumni. We would like to call on Dr. Leopoldo M. Abad III, who will now induct the clinical interns as members of the PGH Association of Medical Alumni. Postgraduate interns, please rise.
Congratulations in advance, dear graduates. I now invite you to take on the oath of membership. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name. Hereby pledge myself as a condition of membership to uphold the Constitution, bylaws, and rules of the PGH Association of Medical Alumni. I pledge myself to pursue the practice of medicine with scientific honesty and to place the welfare and honor of my patients above all considerations. I shall endeavor constantly to improve myself next. Sorry for that. I shall endeavor to constantly improve myself by study, association, or travel. I shall render willing help to my colleagues in what is legitimate. I shall seek their counsel when in doubt as to my own judgment. And I shall share with them whatever may come my way in the form of a discovery, an improvement, or new observation. I hereby declare upon my honor that I shall not solicit patients directly or indirectly, either by agent or advertisement, nor indulge in the division of fees or in any practice that may savor of commercialism. I shall conduct myself honorably, that my calling shall ever command respect, and I shall not neglect my civic duties. Finally, I pledge myself to cooperate in advancing and extending the ideals and principles of the PGH Association of Medical Alumni. So help me God. And I, by the power vested in my office, by the hospital officials, university officials, and the roster of members of this prestigious group, hereby admit you into the roster of members of the Philippine General Hospital Alumni Association. Congratulations.
Thank you, Dr. Abad. Everyone, you may now take your seat. Before the conclusion of our closing ceremony this afternoon, may we call on the Deputy Director for Health Operations, Dr. Stella Marie L. Jose, to give her closing remarks.
Good afternoon. I was tasked to give the closing remarks for this event. I just have a few words to say. Some were already mentioned by Ronnie, but nevertheless, I would like to reiterate. First of all, for my 4 gold nuggets of knowledge, which I want to impart to you. First of all, I would like to say, and it was also in your pledge, to be honest. Okay, so honesty is something that you learn from your parents, and that is very important in your career. So when I was a young obstetrician, I had a patient whom I thought had ectopic pregnancy. And so the ultrasound said so, my physical exam was ectopic pregnancy, and so I operated on the patient. When I opened the patient, when I did my exploratory laparotomy, there was no ectopic. Okay, so of course I was in shock. You know, after training in PGH, yung ectopic pregnancy medyo run of the mill yun for us, no, for obstetricians. And so I relied on my PE and the ultrasound, and yet it was a wrong diagnosis. So what did I do? I closed the patient, the abdomen, and then the hardest part is the next day. I have to explain to the patient why it turned out like that. I told her the truth, that it was not ectopic pregnancy. She was having a spontaneous abortion. She was bleeding. And in ectopic pregnancy, we know that the sloughing off of the decidual tissue is also part of ectopic pregnancy. So I explained to the patient that it is not ectopic pregnancy, and she was having a spontaneous abortion. But I told her also that if it turned out to be ectopic and we did not operate on you, you could have died from it. And so, of course, I was saddened by that one. And then later on, I forgot about her already. And then after a few years, like 1 or 2 years, she came back. She came back to me. And so I delivered her first child and her second child. No, so sabi ko nga, buti na lang sinabi ko yung totoo sa patient kasi yung credibility ko, hindi siya nawala. Because I was honest enough to say that it was a mistake. Many years later, I forgot all about her. She came back, and then she had a myoma. And then the company doctor said, I will refer you to an OB. Sabi ng patient, wag po, meron po akong OB, si Dr. Jose. Binalikan niya ako. Ako pa din ang nag-hysterectomy sa kanya. Yung honesty is something that you have to imbibe in yourself. Akala mo, alam mo na lahat. Akala mo, ang galing-galing mo na, pero hindi pala. Okay, and when you have a mistake, like what Ron has mentioned, you have to own it. You have to own it. And you develop your skills so that it will not happen again. So later on, I had other ectopics, but this time it came out really ectopic. My second nugget of knowledge is be grateful. Let's be grateful to our parents, to our blockmates. Be grateful for the people who taught you, your teachers, your professors. But most of all, be grateful to their patient. The patient that you saw today, pagdating sa board exam, aalala mo yan. Yung patient ko, eto, sigurado ako sa sagot. Ito yon. Because you remembered your patient. Let's be grateful to them. Sometimes I hear interns scolding the patient, and it really pains me. Kasi, it can be reversed. It can be you as the patient, no? And then, ganon kasungit yung doktor. No. Nakakaawa sila. That's why they go to PGH. Most of them are indigent. Yung mga wala talagang pambili ng gamot. Kaya mas swerte sila, nakarating sila ng PGH where everything is free. And you know that. You have seen it. You have seen this. Kahit na most expensive medicines are free. Mga ceftazidime na yan, avibactam, lahat, meropenem, it's all free for them. And so, yun ang dapat natin ma-imbibe in our psyche. You're going to be doctors, all of you will be doctors, in a few months. When you take the board exams, I'm sure most of you will pass. Most of you, if not all of you. Pero the point is, let's be grateful. Ang third na gusto kong sabihin, na very important, keep on learning. Keep on learning. Kasi yung alam niyong gamot ngayon, hindi na yan ang gamot sa 1 taon, sa pangalawang taon, iba na. There's a Harvard study which showed that you will know what age that doctor is by the antibiotics that he prescribes. Di ba? Nagbibigay pa ng chloramphenicol, matagal nang tinanggal yon. Yung mga ganon. Update yourself. Yan. When you entered PGH, anong pinakamahirap niyong ginawa? Radish. Di ba? Lahat kayo, nanibago kayo sa radish. Ako, ang tanda ko na, inaral ko ang radish na yan. Hindi ako magpapatalo dyan. Alam ko rin mag-e-signature and all that. Inaral ko siya. So, ganun din kayo. Update yourself. The people that you see here, tandaan nyo yung mga faces nila. Dion Sakdalan is a very bright, very bright surgeon. Colorectal. Imagine ha, babae pero nakatagal siya sa surgery. Woo! Oh, woo! Ano yan? Scholar. Oh, Alan Dionisio from Ateneo. Oh, meron ba ditong Ateneo? Oh, Alan Dionisio is it. Idol yan ng class namin. Binky Abad was my resident before. Magaling yung batang yan. At syempre si Ronnie Baticolon. Who will ever forget Ronnie Baticolon na hindi pala marunong magmaneho. Ako naman at 18, I was driving myself. Anyway, my last is prayers. O, kala nyo kung anong sasabihin ko, no? Prayers. Prayers are very important. What the Lord has given you this much, and it's your duty to help others more than what the Lord has given you. Prayers yan. Hindi natin masosurvive ang PGH without prayers. So, tama ba ako? Oh, di ba? Tama ako. Kailangan natin ng prayer, especially when you take the board exams. Ito yung sasabihin ko for that PLE. Alam nyo na yan. Alam nyo na yan. Ang problema, nagpapanik pagdating doon. Huwag magpanik. Dapat idinagdag ko yun. Huwag magpanik. Ha? Pag nag-skip ka ng number, tandaan mo, meron kang hindi sinagot. Kasi this happened to my resident. Meron siyang ni-skip na number, lahat ng susunod, doon niya nilagay, so mali na. Of course, she failed. Chief resident namin yon. Grabe, alam niyo ba, pag naging, ang chief resident is the brightest of that batch. Laging ganon. So, if you're a chief resident and you feel, sobrang kahiya-hiya talaga yan. Yung ibig ko sabihin, pag nandun na kayo sa PLE, alam nyo na yan. Huwag magpanik. Pag nandun na kayo, maaalala nyo ako. Okay, thank you very much for listening. Alam mo ba mag-graduate? Alam mo?
Thank you, Dr. Jose. I'm sure our postgraduate interns will uphold the qualities and experiences they've acquired during their internship with our institution. And now, before we formally close our closing ceremony, may we request everyone to please rise in singing the PGH hymn to be led by the UP Medicine Choir.
Mahal ko, pagkamot ang bayan, tanglaw na may sakit at kapansanan, hindi ng daing ng sambayanan, bigyang pag-asa ang may karamdaman, sa'yo'y walang tutulad o papantay. Sa pagtuklas
Thank you everyone for attending. Again, I am your Master of Ceremonies, Dr. Paolo Victor Medina, and this has been Sibol, the University of the Philippines, Philippine General Hospital Postgraduate Internship Closing Ceremonies 2022. Congratulations once again to all the interns, your families, your parents, your loved ones. Thank you very much. It has been a privilege to have been one of your teachers this year. Thank you and a pleasant day to all. God bless all of you.